I've seen a quite a positive attitude. I felt I would have expected a little bit more miserable than what they were, or what they seemed. So collectively, they seem quite good together. Your first impressions are that they are desperate to do better, and that of course needs a bit of support and a bit of guidance and breeding a bit of confidence into the fact that the player will build himself up for the game on Saturday and go out and give that little bit more. And obviously, technically and tactically, we haven't got into that much. That'll happen in the next 2 days, which will be a part of the. As a new manager, you would expect that. You generally, as a new manager, you expect that little bit more from the players than had happened before. Seems to be go along with the territory that you get a new manager and they seem to lift the performance because it's a new manager. Not that the manager's done anything really brilliant. Because if a manager tells you as he's lying to you, you come in and they think, I need to impress my manager to keep me players. So, and of course Manchester City will make them give that a bit more because they don't want to embarrass themselves. So we'll just wait and see. My influence will be over day in and day out, continuously driving the right things and driving the right training sessions and mentally looking at the pack and saying who is struggling with confidence, who isn't, who can we build up more, who do we need to support more, and when they go on the field, make them feel better.
Sam, Carl Robinson, who's on your staff, and Robbie Keane, what will they particularly bring over these next 4 games or so? And I know Carl is quite interested in sports psychology. Is that something you'll look at now with the players?
We have a sports psychologist here, actually. So psychology is obviously a massive part of my life, of course, which I've used a great deal personally. So I'm a big supporter of it, and it's there if the player wants it. So it's here if the player wants it. You can't force it on the player. They just need to know that they're there, and hopefully, if that's the case, it helps them get stronger. You're not a weak person if you seek out a sports psychologist. You're a very strong person to want to put any psychological fears behind you and get yourself in the right frame of mind, like you mean. So we have a sports psychologist here, which is a pleasant surprise for me.
And Robbie Keane in particular then, what qualities will he bring for you?
Well, trying to shut him up in the first place is the first thing. Like I mean, never stops talking. But I mean, I've known Robbie for quite a while, and we've talked on many occasions about his getting into coaching and about the fact that worked with him at Soccer Aid a few times and all that. So I really liked his personality, and obviously is in my mind to come in and give everybody a lift, not just by his coaching methods for the front men particularly and the strikers, because obviously goals are very important, but also the fact that he's Leeds through and through and he loves the place.
Finally, for me, Sam, too, lots been talked about your deal. Is this just 4 matches, or would you reconsider at the end if it goes well?
Never say never, and it depends what happens at the end of the 4 matches and what the conversation's all about, like you mean, and how I feel, and more importantly, how the wife feels.
Thank you.
Because I can't keep making feel so nervous again as I've done, like you mean. So there we go. She's good as gold.
Damien? Hello, Sam. In your heart of hearts, did you always imagine you'd get back to a big Premier League club, or are you resigned to perhaps calling it a day?
I think that I think that always the club would make the difference on whether I took it or not, and this is and has been in my time, which is a long time, always been a club even though it's been out of the Premier League far too long, but I always known the history of the club and the fact I used to play, against Alan Clark and people like that, and it was always been a pleasure to play at Ellen Road, so when you get the opportunity to manage it, then for me, you jump at the chance, even though it's only 4 games. I'd have liked it to have been a bit longer, but it wasn't to be. But here I am, and it's an hard challenge, like you said, but somebody had to do it. And I think I was the first one they asked, so they didn't have to ask anybody else.
No Sammy Lee by your side this time. Was that a big miss?
Not with Carl, but I do have to say, I'm not sure this is a good thing, but I have to say it. The judge has left Sammy unemployed because he's on jury service and wouldn't let him off. And I find that to be very, very poor judgment indeed. So, it's a real shame because the wee man loves being with me and I love him with me, but I've known Carl for a long time with my Blackburn days and have always kept in touch with him since he left. And we've never stopped talking. We never talk because when we're both managers, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've always been there to help if I possibly can. So when Sammy became a no, and everything had to move very, very quickly, so I couldn't give anybody a long period of time to think about it. It was a phone call. Is it a yes or is it a no? Can I think about it? Yeah, you've got half an hour. So Carl came here in half an hour and Robbie came here. Well, it's rang Robbie this morning. He's here already. With his bag packed.
Sam, you said you thought that the chance had gone for this season, but do you actively, as a manager who's looking at getting back in, are you watching teams and analysing what you might do with them if you got the chance to get hold of them?
I'm only interested in what's happening here, and only will be interested in what's here because it does consume your time 24/7. I have so much to go through previous games, what's happened in previous games, what the stats look like, how did they do the free kicks, how many goals have they conceded, why have they conceded those goals, where can we improve in those areas. So there's a lot of, me and Carl particularly, and the lads are all analysis to go through to try and drum up as many alternatives to how we try and get better in each department. So I always say to players, it's not a great deal of improvement that you need. So if everybody improved by 2%, that'd be 22% improvement in the team, which is massive. So 1 or 2% better than they've already been will make a big difference.
What are the strengths of the squad that you inherit? And given the limited time you've got
I don't really know till I get to the end of today and into tomorrow, apart from the fact that I am, like I've said before, comfortable in possession, seem to be able to handle the ball and attack, but don't, in recent weeks, probably one of the worst defensive records in the Premier League over the last 10 games. So my call to those players is to be able to be more adaptable. Now maybe that was not the previous manager's way of working, who knows, maybe he had one way of playing and only wanted to play that way. I have to try and form a pattern of play for each game to help the players win, and that can't be by only playing the same way every game, because not every team plays against you the same way. So if you think you can get away with, when you're struggling, playing the same way every week, that's why I've saved so many football clubs, because the adaptability of the team has allowed them to achieve results. For instance, there's a few northeasters here today, isn't there? Yeah, good lads. Sunderland, Chelsea 3-2, Everton 3-0, Watford 1-1 last 3 games. We didn't win the first 2. We'd have had to win the last one to stay up. So the games were big. Chelsea was not expected. Everton wasn't expected, but we won those 2 games, and so that was by the support of the Sunderland supporters and the belief of the players at the time that they could go out and do it. And I don't think we did. I mean, they'll know better than me now because it's been a long time since I was there. How long were we ever at the bottom 4, 5? Don't think we were. So it took us the last 3 games to get out the bottom 3 and survive. So this is one of those. You know, Crystal Palace was the same. Beat Chelsea away 2-1. Beat Liverpool away 2-0. Beat Arsenal at home 3-0. Without those, we wouldn't have stayed up. So when I look at these 4 fixtures and everybody says, wow, aren't they big? Yes, they are. They're massive. The odds are against us. Obviously, we've done, or the teams I've had before have done it, but I'd always spent a lot more time with them than I am now, which is obviously one of the worrying factors.
Jonathan?
Sam, Leeds have conceded 23 goals in the space of a month, which is the Premier League record. How do you go about changing that in such a short period of time?
Showing them. Brave enough to put it in front of them and say, this is what you've done, this is how we put it right. So we're going to talk about that visually, and then we could do it on the training ground. Like I said, the opportunity to work today, tomorrow and Friday without forgetting what they do when they've got possession. But they have to be better out of possession on Saturday than they are in possession, because they won't be in possession as much as Manchester City. That's a fact. So we have to be the best we can possibly be out of possession, which will actually give us a better chance of gaining more possession than we would do normally, and attack Manchester City.
I think it's fair to say that not all Leeds fans were expecting your appointment. Do you have a message for them, particularly after recent results, to get behind the team?
Well, the team's no good without him. I think that you know, it's always a telling factor that generally home form is the best form of the team that you have, and the support of the home fans gets the hairs standing up on your arms, on the back of your neck, gets you tingling and ready to go out. You know, what I have to do is just install the confidence in the players to entertain the fans so much, to cheer them on, because we have to give them something to cheer. We can't just expect them to do it. We have to give them something on the pitch that wants them to get behind the team.
Kelly?
Hi Sam. Talking of the fans there, I've been speaking to fans this morning, and what a lot of them have actually said is, if anyone can do it, you can. How do you feel about that level of expectation?
Oh, I just give them all the best shot I possibly can on the fact that if experience means anything, then I've got an opportunity to pass that experience on to show them how to do it, and hopefully, if they can grasp as much of that as they can and improve the performances and give a bit more effort, like I said, and increase their own performances by 1 or 2%, we'll have a chance. Whether that will be enough or not, only time will tell. But you know, I want to see an increased level of performance in 4 football matches, and I can't. That's a fine, by the way. 10 quid to charity. Who is it? Who is it? Thank you very much. Which charity have we got here? Which local charity?
Leeds United Foundation.
Leeds United Foundation. Thank you very much. Sorry, can you? I've gone off the question now. Sorry.
I know it was touched on earlier, but I just wanted to ask about Saturday. How are you feeling about such a big game, being eased into the job in this way?
Oh, I wish it was a bit more, a bit less challenging. But we have to face what we have to face, and obviously, the first thing I did after I looked at the job and looked at the fixture and thought, well, they could have been a little bit kinder, but if we are to stay up, like I said before, sometimes it has to be done, and you have to create a shock in the Premier League, and so hopefully we can shock a few people in the Premier League by getting the results. So we need to stay up. I hope that we can find 6 points in 4, because I think that would be a really good achievement.